Working through the practice test, doing a little review today. I have this posted on Canvas under the section where I put the slides. If you want to use this exact practice test, and it's got an answer key on there too. But then also you can go in Hawks and work the same types of problems in Hawks. Okay. Well, so test 3 will be Wednesday. Really no need to come Friday, so Wednesday will be our last day before Thanksgiving break. And then the Monday after Thanksgiving break, I think it's the 29th, will be our review day for the final exam for anybody that's interested in taking the final. Again, the final is optional, so if you're happy with your grade after you get your test 3 score in, you're done. If you are interested in taking the final, it won't bring your grade down. It'll only count if it helps. So, okay, let's start working our way through the practice test then. So number 1, we got a few vocabulary problems from chapter 8. Number 1 gives us a numerical descriptor of a particular group of interest. Okay. So if you can remember that the group we're interested in, the whole group we're interested in is the population. That will help on this one. Because then if we have a numerical descriptor of a population, that's a population parameter. If it just said a particular group of interest, then that would be population. But we're talking about a numerical descriptor of one of those. And number 2 kind of gives us the other half of this. And number 2 is a numerical descriptor of a subset of a particular group of interest. So anytime you see subset, it's going to refer to a sample. And then if we're describing that with a number, that would mean we're talking about a sample statistic. So kind of have 4 and 1 on there. If you leave out the numerical descriptor of part on those, then the first one would be population and the second one would be sample. And then when we throw in the numerical description, we get a population parameter and sample statistic. Questions on either one of those? Vocab. Okay, number 3. These can be a little tricky. I'm going to try not to give you one that's too tricky. This one says, decide which study uses a population parameter. So we're looking for one that gives us a number that tells us about the whole population. Okay. If we see anything describing a sample, describing a subset, we know that's not going to be the one. Okay. Then that would be a sample statistic. So A says Lakeside Family Dentistry reported that 6 of the 15 patients who came in for a regular cleaning one day had at least one cavity. So they're not describing all their patients, they're just describing 6 of the 15 that came in that day. Okay, so that one's just telling us about a sample, so not that one. B says 15% of the attendees at a town council meeting in a rural area reported not using the internet on a daily basis. To me, that one's a little tricky the way they have that worded. But that's only telling us about the people that came to the meeting. It's not telling us about all the people in that area. That's just telling us about a sample, so not that one. C says a study prompted by the increase in the use of assisted reproductive technology looked at hospital records across the country. The report stated that an estimated 3.2% of births in the U.S. last year resulted in twins. So that's telling us 3.2% of all births in the US. So that is our population parameter. And let's look at why it's not D. D says in a study of 89 of the children diagnosed with cancer at Leland Memorial Hospital, 70 children were cancer-free 5 years after their first diagnosis. That's only telling us about 89 of the children that were diagnosed with cancer, not all of them. And so that would be a sample statistic. So I'll try to make it as clear as possible. Okay, if the number's telling you about a sample or if it's telling you about the whole population. So for sure, I would reword option B because that one to me is a little extra confusing. The other two, it's a little more clear about that you're dealing with a sample. Questions on that one? Number 4 is identify the sampling technique. It says the financial aid office at a nearby university publishes data about the type and amount of aid offered annually by collecting information from 250 randomly selected students. That's all it says. It says the 250 are just randomly selected, so nothing special. What kind of sampling technique is that? Random. They're not grouped together or anything like that. The two that are most confusing are the difference between stratified and cluster. So if the students were put into different groups and we selected some of the students from each one of the groups, that would be stratified. If the students were put into different groups and we randomly selected some of the groups and used all the students in each one of the groups that were selected, that would be cluster. Systematic would be like if we picked every 5th student. Maybe we just have some kind of rule, some kind of system. Convenience is when it's easy, so we surveyed students walking down the hallway by the financial aid office. That would be convenience sampling. That one was just simple random. Questions on that one? No takers? Okay. 5, we're filling out a frequency distribution, so we're just counting here. We're counting how many of each one of the grades we have. Okay, so on paper test, you can mark them out. Okay, that makes it easier. So let's see here for A, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 A's. Frequency was 6 for A. For B, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 B's. C, we had 1 C. D's, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 D's. And whatever's left, we had 1, 2 F's. No, that was right enough, 2. And to check yourself, what I would recommend is counting how many grades we had and then make sure that if you add these up, you get that same number. Make sure you didn't miss one. So let's see if this came out right. So I can cheat because I have the key up here. 65172. Make sure I didn't miss any also. Questions on that one? Frequency is just a count. That's almost a vocabulary question. Number 6 gives us a grouped frequency distribution of the number of hours spent on the computer per week for 48 students. You do have to be a little careful on this one because the question it asks is what percentage of students use the computer between 3.5 and 6.9 hours per week. So that's going to be this row. But our answer is not 16 because it asks us for the percentage. So we got to take our frequency of 16 and divide that by the total number of students. 16 divided by 48. Let's see what we get here. Is round our answer to one decimal place, so that's 0.33333. So 33.3%. So change it to a decimal and then move the decimal place 2 places to get the percentage, or multiply by 100 if you prefer doing that. Make sure you don't skip over what it's actually asking us for. Questions on that one? Okay. Next couple, we're reading a graph, so not too terrible. Let's see. This one shows profits or losses for a small retail store. We want to determine the number of months in which the store had a profit. Okay, so the ones where they had a profit will be the ones that are above 0. So let's see, that's that one, this one, this one, this one. Let me just change them all to check marks. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Dead. The other ones go down into the negatives, so those would be losses. And just don't get in a hurry on those. Make sure you're, when the little short bars, sometimes you have to look at them a little careful. Ooh, sorry. Okay, this one we got a stock price over 2 weeks. We want to determine the number of days the price was between $60 and $70. So that's between this line and this line. Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Just reading the graph. Number 8. All right, number 8, we've got a calculation to do. It says find the mean. So how do we find the mean? You may remember? What we have to do with them, mean is what you typically call the average. On this one, we don't have to. We don't have to put them in order, yeah. That's a good thing, though. Keep that in mind, because we'll need it. But on this one, we add them all up and then divide by how many we have. That's right. Let's see. So we're going to add all the numbers. Let's see what we get there. 31 plus 38, 39. I got 396. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 396 divided by 11 is round our answer to the nearest hundredth. That's 2 decimal places. We don't even need that. It just comes out exactly to 36. add them all up and divide by how many we have. Okay. Questions on that one? Number 10 says calculate the 5-number summary. So we need to remember what 5 numbers are in there, and then we can talk about finding them. So 5-number summary is the minimum, first quartile, and then either second quartile or the median, third quartile, and the maximum. Okay. So we need to put them in order first. I will try to remember to give them to you in order on the test because it's just tedious. Okay. Let's see, we'll put these in order. So we got 2. What's next? I see 4 on there twice. There's 4 and 4 out of there. I see a 5, 6, 8's on there twice, it looks like. 10, 11, and 12. And then 14, 15, 16, 18. And then again, count, make sure you got them all. So I'm going to start off by finding the median. You could go ahead and write down the minimum and the maximum if you wanted to. I'm going to start off by finding the median. That's the middle number. And remember, if we have 1 number in the middle, that's our median. If we have 2 middle numbers, we add them together and divide by 2. So here, looks like we have 2 middle numbers. For the median, we would do 8 plus 10 divided by 2. So we get 9 there. And then we're going to split our data into a lower and upper half. And then we'll find the median of the lower half and the median of the upper half. That'll be Q1 and Q3. So our whole 5-number summary, our minimum is 2. First quartile is 5. Median is 9. Third quartile is 14, and the maximum is 18. Questions on doing those? It's been a while since we've done that. Sticking with you? Okay. 11. Evan says Zoe has a job where she has a take-home salary each month of $2,400. If Zoe wants to spend no more than 25% of her monthly take-home salary on rent, how much can she afford? Don't try to jump to some big complicated formula. All we're looking for here is 25% of 2,400. Change 25% to a decimal. Multiply by 2,400. It's $600. That's it on that one. Nothing complicated like some of them. number 12. Okay, I will give you the formulas that you need. Don't forget that. And I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do yet, but I will give you some kind of guidance, some kind of form of guidance on which formula to use to give you some help on that. I may highlight keyword in the problem or something along those lines. Okay, I'll help you figure out which one. And if you notice on the practice test, we don't have every single formula. Okay, I just have some out of each section, so you don't have to worry about picking from like 12 different formulas or anything like that. Okay, I'll narrow it down here for you. Okay, this one says a couple deposits $22,000 into an account earning 6% annual interest for 15 years. Calculate the future value of the investment if the interest is compounded semi-annually. So here we got compounded and future value. That'll help us figure out we want this one. So P is our starting amount, our principal. So P is going to be 22,000. Our annual interest rate or APR is 6%, and we're going to change that to a decimal, so R will be 0.06. We're making our investment for 15 years, so T is going to be 15. And the only one we're missing is our compounding interval. So this one says interest is going to be compounded semi-annually. So how many times a year is that? Semi is 2, yeah, it's twice a year. Twice a year. That's kind of a weird one. I just let Hawks give me random problems, so we got kind of a weird compounding interval here, but semi-annually is 2. Okay, then plugging into our formula, 22,000 times 1 plus 0.06 over 2 raised to the 2 times 15 power. We're going to round to the nearest cent. So we should get 53,399 and 77 cents. Let me make sure it came out right. Yeah. So again, on test day, I highly suggest you write this part down too. And that way, if you accidentally mistype something in the calculator and get this part wrong, I can go back and see that you knew what you were doing here and give you some credit. Questions on any part of that one? Okay. 13 is determine the simple interest, so that tells us the name of the formula right there. That's I equals PRT. Tells us our principal is $10,000. We're investing for 20 years. The APR is 18%, so really the only thing we have to remember is to change R to a decimal. So we have 10,000 times 0.18 times 20 years. And all right, that gives to me zeros. No, that's around $36,000. That one's not too bad. Just multiplication. Questions on that one? Okay. 14. Suppose your salary in 2013 is $65,000. The annual inflation rate is 4%. What salary do you need to make in 2020 in order for it to keep up with inflation? The wording on this one is a little bit trickier. It doesn't really nail down exactly which formula you should use. Okay, we're using this one again. On this one, since our inflation rate is just going to happen annually, and it's just going to be 1. And then the rate is 4% per year, so R 0.04. P 65,000, and then to figure out T, you just subtract. So 2020 minus 2013 is 7 years for T. So plugging in, we get 65,000 plus 1 plus 0.04 over 1, but you could leave out the over 1 if you wanted to. And then it's 1 times 7. So let's see. Now I get $85,535.57. So that part's kind of tricky on that one because it's annual inflation ends 1. Question on that one? Keep hoping. I'm not gonna have a question. All right, 15. So suppose $18,000 is deposited for 8 years at 3% APR. Calculate the interest earned if interest is compounded weekly. And again, we're dealing with compound interest formula, but this one is a little bit different because what's it asking us for? It doesn't want the total amount. It just wants, it just wants the interest. And so when we do our formula, it's going to give us the total amount of money we'll have, and then we have to subtract the principal. Just subtract our starting amount to figure out how much interest we have. So weekly, how many weeks are in a year? 52. Yeah, 52 weeks in a year. So N is going to be 52. R is going to be 0.03. And then 8 years, so T will be 8. And P is 18,000. So the total amount we'll have is $22,880.90. Then we gotta take that total and subtract our principal to get just the interest. $4,880.90. Just had one extra step in there. How you feeling so far? Think it's okay? Not terrible yet? Only 18 on here. Yes. Okay, hang around and we'll get it sorted out where you can get the parentheses and all that. Probably all that's going on. I'm sorry. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay. All right, so we got three more. So far, if you can do the compound interest formula, you've made it through 15 out of 18 questions on the test, okay, without having to worry about the other ones. So 16 says Bobby deposits $4,000. Determine the APY. Tells us which formula to use right there. There's an APR of 6.5% compounded daily. So the APY formula. I do not have it memorized, so I have it written down here. APY formula. Then 1 plus R over N to the N minus 1. And then if you want to, the way the book writes it, they write times 100% because we're changing it to a percentage when we get the number. Okay. So we don't even care about the $4,000. We don't need P in there anywhere. We want 6.5%. That's going to give us R 0.065. It's compounded daily. So how many days in a year? 365. Okay. So I have 1 plus 0.065 over 365 raised to the 365 minus 1. That part, I get 0.06715 something. Then we want to change it to a percentage. And so we either multiply by 100 or just move our decimal place 2 times. And it says to the nearest 100th of a percent, that's 2 decimal places. So that'll be 6.72%. Questions on that one? If you can punch that other formula in your calculator, that one is really similar how you type it in there. You just gotta remember to change it to a percentage at the end. Let's see. Okay. All right, two more. Two more. Formula's getting a little bit more ugly. Okay. Now this one says Riley starts an IRA at the age of 24 to save for retirement. She deposits $350 each month. So we're making monthly payments. As the IRA has an average annual interest rate of 7% compounded monthly, we want to know how much she's going to have in total when she retires at the age of 65. So on this one, we're trying to find the future value of an annuity, and we're making payments. So here's our formula. So PMT, our payments $350 each month. The monthly payments, so N's going to be 12. Says IRA has an average annual interest rate of 7%, so R is going to be 0.07. And then we need to figure out how long we're making our investment. So for T, says she's retiring at 65, and she's 24 now. T is going to be 41 years. Okay, so filling in, we've got $350 times 1 plus 0.07 over 12 to the 12 times 41 power minus 1 over 0.07 over 12. So what I'm gonna do the top here. So I'm gonna do parenthesis 1 plus 0.07 divided by 12, close parenthesis, and raise that to the 12 times 41 power, hit equal. Now I'm gonna save that in my calculator, hit divide by, parenthesis 0.07 divided by 12, close parenthesis. That gives me 2,998 and then a decimal part, and I'm gonna do times the 350. We do all that, I get $1,049,433 and 80 rounds to 89 cents. Let me make sure that's correct. That is not what. Yeah, let me see. Let me try punching it again. Let's see. I got all my numbers in the right spot. Okay, let me try it one more time. I forgot to do the -1 on the top. But I forgot to do so. Hang on, this is going to be a little smaller. I forgot this piece. On top, get 16.49, then divided by. Yeah. Not quite as rich. Not quite a millionaire. $989,433.88. Is that what you got? Yeah, I know. If it was my money, I would want the other number too. Maybe she needs to deposit $355 each month. That way she'll be a millionaire. Any questions on that one? Let's see. I'm telling you. Please write this part down. It's really easy to miss one little piece when you got so much stuff going on in here. That part down. One more. All right. Then we got a credit card. Has a balance of $6,040 and an APR of 20.49%. We're going to pay $300 each month. How many months will it take us to pay off the balance? And so I just forgot to delete. It was giving formulas on each, the whole list of formulas on each problem. Okay. So our formula for how many payments is going to take us to pay off a debt. This one is the one with the logarithms. So here, A is the amount of money we owe, 60/40. Our APR is 20.49%, so it's going to be 0.2049. We're going to pay $300 each month, so that's PMT. We're making monthly payments, so N will be 12. So month is 12. And so, in mind, I'm going to do the top, write that down, do the bottom, write that down, and then do the division at the end. So I'm going to hit negative log. Mine opens a parenthesis up on its own. And then I guess we need to fill in the numbers, don't we? The negative log of 1 minus 0.2049 over 12 times 60/40 over 300. That's over the log of 1 plus 0.2049 over 12. Okay. I'm doing negative log, and mine opens up a parenthesis. I'm doing 1 minus 0.2049 over 12 times 60/40 over 300. So my top number, I'm going to keep a bunch of decimal places just to be safe. I get 0.18294833. Probably plenty. And on the bottom, I'm going to do log 1 plus 0.2049 divided by 12. Get 0.00735298. Probably more than enough. So then when we do the division, I get 24.88. So more than 24, so it's going to take us 25 months. We'll get that 0.88 on the 25th month. Any questions on that one? Okay, so on the bottom, it's letting you pick a base on there. You should be able to leave it blank. Try it, and if it gives you an error, we'll work on it. Okay. If you want calculator help, hang around. Okay. Other than that, we're done. Okay. And I'll see you Wednesday. Okay.